This video's not made for kids, you crazy bitch-ass bastard!
It seems today that all you see is bouncing locomotives and stuff on TV. But where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely? Lucky there's the tales of the rails. You're lucky there's a man who positively can do all the things that make us laugh and wail. It's the tales of the Northwestern Rails.
Alrighty now, I know you folks waited for this moment, but first, a quick recap for those needing catching up. Timoth Harbor has so much fish that more rolling stock is needed for the Flying Kipper. Percy luckily had one in hand, a large box fan that he took from Dryall Goods Yard without Thomas's permission. Boxy, as it was called. So Boxy was hitched up to the Flying Kipper. Henry arrived at Timoth Harbor, hitched up to the Flying Kipper, left the harbor, and Boxy derailed and crashed the train due to its loading gauge too large for British rails. And currently Boxy is still at the steamworks, getting revamped for the appropriate loading gauge for Sodor rails. Now fast forwarding. Ever since Henry's return to Sodor, Thomas believed that it was all Henry's fault for damaging Boxy. Now while yes, Henry did use Boxy as a part of his Flying Kipper, Henry wasn't the one that arranged his train, nor did he take Boxy out of the siding from Dryall in the first place. Thomas's pair of coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, did what they can to make Thomas forget about the whole predicament. A smooth ride along the branch line helped Thomas cope with his issues, for the most part. But try as they might, Thomas would always find a time to bring up Henry's little Flying Kipper accident with Boxy.
Finally, at the station.
Oh, Thomas, do stop complaining. I know he should know better, but at least no one was hurt.
Can you believe those nutcases? We're in the modern era, and there's still rebellious people who break the railway rules and regulations. I swear this is just as bad as that big engine.
Which big engine are we talking about?
Henry Stanier. Who else would I be talking about?
I think I can count a couple of candidates.
That mechanical overgrown zucchini damaged Boxy on its Flying Kipper run. The audacity! And fetching it on my branch line, too! I should have known most big engines would traverse through the Farquhar branch. If you recall Gordon rescuing me from the lead mines back in '53. Anyways, I can't chat for long. I've got to make up for lost time.
With the guard's whistle, Thomas left Nafford Station, leaving Percy to have a sickly, guilty feeling.
At Tidmouth Station, Percy arrived in the yards to pick up his train of plank wagons, while he watched Oliver arrange Henry's motor rail. Henry pulled into the station and was quite cross.
Your monorail train is almost ready, Henry. Henry, are you alright?
It's Thomas. He's getting all riled up with that large box of his I used on my Flying Kipper. First off, because I'm from Elk Bridge and Midway. I never gone to the branch line. And secondly, engines accidentally break rolling stock time and time again.
Huh, that's true. We accidentally ruin rolling stocks all the time, like when Douglas crashes into the spike for brake van in 1960, or when I ripped Scruffy apart in 1968.
Scruffy. That name rings a bell. Oh, I remember now.
Oh, you know Scruffy.
Yeah, I may have collided into him at a crossing my forest.
You what?
I didn't mean to, I swear.
Well, I didn't expect him to go out like that. Don't worry, Henry. I know it was an accident too.
Once Henry's motor rail was assembled, Henry made his way to Kildane. After his departure, Oliver glanced over at Percy with a worried expression.
Percy? What's the matter?
About the talk of Boxy, it was me. I took Boxy from Farquhar Branch on my mirror and gave a boxcar to the flying kipper.
Why you didn't own up to Henry?
I didn't think Henry would get into an accident leading him to getting falsely accused. Right now I'm trying to figure a great big apology for one or two, mainly Thomas.
Okay, might as well do it so on your way up to the Soda Slate Quarry. Your trucks are already lined up for you.
Percy gathered his train and left for the Sodor Slate Quarry. Along the way, he was thinking of different ways to apologize to Thomas properly and own up. Advanced vocabulary, some kind of gift, anything that's good enough to make things right for his blue friend. He was coupled up to a loaded train needed to be taken to the Kirk Ronan harbor when Gator pulled up alongside.
Good day, Percy. What's gotten you in such a tizzy?
Percy explains the whole predicament to Gator. Gator thought and had an idea.
Well, you and Thomas have been friends for decades, so instead of making an overcomplicated apology, why not go for a symbolistic sorry?
A simplistic story? I'm not sure, Gator. That boxcar is going to be really special to me.
Sometimes, bigger isn't always better. Just merely a simple sorry will do. Surely he'd move on, with some time.
I suppose it's worth a shot. Thanks, Gator.
Percy took Gator's advice and left the quarry to make his way to the harbor. Meanwhile, on the Farquhar branch line, Thomas was brought to the Dry goods yard, the same area where Boxy was taken.
Driver, what exactly are we doing here?
We're solving this once and for all. I'm fed up with your assumption with Henry ruining Boxy. I'm going to check the Dry security footage. The driver went into the building to examine the security footage, and when he came out and showed Thomas the footage, Thomas was in disturbed awe.
My word. Of all the engines.
At Tidmouth's sheds, all members of the steam team were settling into their berths. But Percy woke up sleepily for his mail train until he had an unexpected surprise.
Percy!
God, Thomas!
I've got something to tell you.
I actually had something to tell you.
You
I
took
took
Boxy. What?
Wait, how did you figure out it was me?
My driver took me to the Dry goods yard and showed me the security footage, and I saw you pulling Boxy out of the sheds. Why didn't you own up? I've been blaming Henry for almost a fortnight now.
Thomas, I'm sorry I didn't think of the potential consequences. I'm so sorry, Thomas.
Of course. With all your courageous acts from time to time, especially in 2014, thought you've matured. Furthermore, I heard about your accident with Bruno at Hackenbeck Tunnel. You really can't handle American Rolling Stock, can you? I thought you knew better.
Now Percy snapped.
You know what? I could say the same thing for you.
Well, this just got interesting.
Excuse me for not knowing much about American rolling stock that's around the world in 80 days, tank engine. A simple lecture would have been nice when you had a chance. Plus, you didn't praise Jack when he owned up for his accident at the warehouse. We've made from liveries, trips, and tours. This, I don't know. I wish not to prolong this conversation. I'm done with you. I've got a mail train to run.
He left the sheds, collected his mail vans, and delivered letters and parcels across the island, still fuming. But with each stop, Percy began to calm down. And then finally, when they reached Vickerstown, Percy was finally calm and started to regret shouting at Thomas like that. Percy thought it'd be best to apologize to Thomas for yelling at him. But before he did, he crept up to Vickerstown sheds and had his driver write an apology note for Henry. They placed it on his running board, and they hurried back to Tidmouth Sheds when dawn was approaching. But when Percy got to the sheds, Thomas was nowhere to be seen.
Morning, Percy.
Oh, morning, James. Where's Thomas?
Oh, he left.
Left?
Indeed. He's left for Tidmouth Harbor on another one of his trips around the world. Why do you want to know, considering your argument with him last night?
Oh no. Oh no!
Percy was aghast. He fled from the sheds and raced to the harbor as fast as his wheels could carry him, hoping to see Thomas before he left on the ship to apologize. But it was too late. The ship has sailed from the harbor, along with Thomas the tank engine.
I'm so sorry.